All right, guys, so let's talk about fighting rifle, kind of 101 lower receiver status here. I'm going to go over the fighting rifle lower that I have. We'll talk about the components and why I put them on. Personal opinions here. If you have differing opinions, by all means, post them below. Tell me that I didn't do it correctly or whatever. I really don't care. The more you comment down below, the more engagement, the more people see this stuff. So by all means, click all the like buttons and all that fun stuff. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Also, huge shout out to Brownells. Go head on over to Brownells for almost everything on here. I didn't get the lower from them, and I didn't get the stock and the grip from them, but almost everything else I did get from Brownells. So yeah, go head on over to them. They are awesome. They are awesome enough to sponsor the channel. So if you use code TRIGGERED, it's actually a friend of mine's code that you can use at Brownells. You can save yourself 10% of anything of $150 or more. So please, by all means, go head on over there, use code TRIGGERED. It would be much appreciated. I know he would greatly enjoy it. And then maybe, he'll help me out with some Cerakote stuff in the future. All right, let's get into the lower receiver and kind of everything that I put in on here. So I did go with the B5 SOP mod stuff. The SOP mod one that has the wider wings here. I didn't get that one because, well, Ape Defense didn't have it. So when Ape Defense finally decides they're going to do another run of the Ape Callahan camo, and he does it in the regular SOP mod stock that I really want, that has like the little battery containers on the side, I will definitely be buying that. But other than that, this is a great stuff. I love B5. I'm like a B5 fanboy. Like, I have B5 almost everything if I can, except their trigger guards. I don't like their trigger guards. Their trigger guards are terrible. I did a video about that a while ago. I highly recommend if you're going to run anything B5 that's not like okay, the B5 trigger guards really suck. I did go with a Geisley buffer tube, just a green one. I like the green, it's aesthetic, but Geisley makes pretty good stuff. Forward Control Designs makes good stuff. All those companies do. I have an Aero Precision one that's black that I could have used, but every time I use it, it just does not feel right. It doesn't feel like it's in spec, and it has these two little teeth that come out. I don't like it. It's not my cup of tea. Great thing about Forward Control Designs, though, is they make castle nuts and all the other fun stuff, and everything's made in America. I might be going to a BCM end plate because this one sucks to stake, and I really think that if you're going to be running a lower, it needs to be staked. I know that there are some people out there who are going to say, oh, torque will overcome staking. I completely agree with that, but I think for a fighting rifle, you should kind of have like as much redundancy as possible. I know I'm running a rifle that has no backup iron sights, but when you're talking about staking your castle nut, that's something I do think you can do. Am I going to say it's 100% necessary? No, but I think the more the merrier. Kind of like running backup iron sights, you probably should do that. Things like that. Differences. But Forward Control Design is also made in America. I do like supporting American jobs and going from there. Now, going into that, we're going to get into the lower receiver. I did go with the LMT Mars lower receiver. I did get this locally from a buddy of mine who has a dealer account. And yeah, that's it. That's kind of the lower receiver. I like ambi lowers. I think that fighting rifles should be ambi. The way the government is going and a lot of stuff is ambi. The way that new rifles should be made. If you don't offer a completely ambi lower from the factory, I kind of think you're falling behind the wayside. Yeah, there's cheap lowers out there. You get an Anderson, you get a Spikes, you can get all that, but I much prefer just to spend a little bit more money, have a lower receiver that works for me, that works with me, has that nice, decent flared magwell, because that's probably one of the most key important things, is also forged. I like the forged lower receiver. Now, I have not actually found anything online that backs up my claim of this being a forged lower receiver, other than I know some people who said that this is a forged lower receiver. It feels forged. It looks like they just did an enlarged forged molding, and then they were able to put this together. And that's honestly nice. I just like how everything is, and I'm very happy with it. I'm going to continue to run it until I break it or beat it up or it just does not work anymore. It's fantastic lower receiver. Going into that, ambi controls from the factory. I think that's awesome. The magazine release is a little stiff, but it works. Same on this side, and then the ambi dexterity of the bolt release and bolt hold open, I like that even more. I did not go with the ADAC or the Radian, specifically because those are billet. They're bigger, they're thicker, and I didn't want one. They don't appeal to me. They're not visually appeasing. Again, personal note, you can be as upset as you want to about that. I really I have no personal stake. Again, going into more of the stuff with the lower receiver, I did go with the Forward Control Designs Ambi. This is the non-offset version, just the regular. If you go with the regular, it's better if you're left-handed because you can swap them around. I know some guys who are left-handed who prefer to run everything traditionally. That's totally fine. This can be run over here, but with the spring and the detent, this is very stiff. Other than that, there is no wobble. In fact, if you can look right in here, you'll see that there is almost like no machining marks. I think just probably a couple thousandths more tolerance, and you could actually get this to the point where you couldn't even see those lines in there. Like, it would just look solid. One of the best parts about this is it does use these little roll pins. Probably one of the most wonderful thing is having those roll pins, because it makes it to where it's almost like, it is bomb proof. Like, you're not going to get that without intentionally getting that out, or just shearing that roll pin, or breaking the actual safety itself. And I think that's very good on a fighting rifle. For the end of the world rifle, I'm not 100% sure. Maybe we could talk about that, but I think, for maintenance and stuff like that, it's probably one of those things that's a little bit more difficult, considering you're not carrying your toolkits and stuff around with you. But it's one less part that can fail, but when it fails, it would be catastrophic. So, having another lower receiver around would probably be something that you should look into if you're going to be running this and you want to use this kind of like the end of the world and your fighting rifle. Sure, but I think for just a fighting rifle, if that's really what we're going off of right now, probably the thing about the Ambi selector is it's workable both ways, if you need to do that. And then, you're never going to break it unless it's actually broken. Like, there's no weak points in here other than, the environment beating the crap out of this. And then I did go with the Geissele single stage precision trigger. I like single stage triggers. They're fast. There's no wall. There's no take up. I mean, once you hit that wall, you're at the wall, and then it breaks, and it breaks. Probably one of the best things I like about this trigger. Now, when I first got this trigger, it was a little different. The trigger initially did have a little bit of a creep. Like, it would creep just a little bit, and then it would break. I did not like that. In fact, I shot it. I could still feel it. I know people are going to be like, no, I could still feel it just a little bit, especially when I was kind of tinkering around with it. That didn't feel like a true single stage, especially when you're trying to take like precision shots. I want it to be consistent every single time. When I first got it, it wasn't. I think it kind of had to wear through whatever it needed to wear through. I ended up putting more of that ALG grease on there that they supply with the trigger, and taking it out of my FN lower and putting it in this lower when I finally got this lower. And it works so much better now. It is a true single stage. It breaks every single time exactly what I want it, and that's what I like. And since this is my fighting rifle, I feel like it needs a fast trigger, because I feel like I need to do stuff that's fast, but also you can take those precise shots. I was able to hit out to 300 recently with my 13.9. I feel like this trigger definitely helped with that a lot, and I was very, very happy to go out to 100 and 300 just using my red dot. So that was probably one of the nicer things about this trigger, that I was just immensely enjoying. The single stage precision trigger is definitely one that if you're into single stage triggers and you don't necessarily like two stage triggers like me, because I have a LaRue MBT, not as fun of a trigger as this. So that's just another, pros and cons. But and then the last part I want to talk about is your magazine well. I do like a flared magazine well, specifically because reloads, if you need to reload, you want the biggest orifice possible. And then when that happens, you want to be able to test your magazines to make sure that they fit well. Now, I'm not going to go taking magazines in and out, because this is YouTube and they will murder me. But what I do want to happen is, test your magazines, make sure they fit, make sure they drop free, test the ones that catch. I do have a couple that catch. They're Magpul Gen 3s. They do catch just a little bit, but with a proper wiggle, they come right out, no problem. And then, there's just, you have to test your lower receiver. If you get a lower receiver and you don't test it, you'll never know. That's one of the things, especially with companies like LMT, Geissele, things like that. There's definitely a lot that goes into it, and you should always make sure that everything is within the spec that you can afford. Don't go out there and go buy an LMT, if you're trying to put food on the table for your family. You don't have the money. If it's between food for your family and this, buy something cheaper or save up. Spend the right amount of money you can. This just happened to line up for me. I also had a buddy with a dealer account, so thank you to him. I definitely would not have bought this at full price. But yeah, I hope you guys can take out of this what I like. Again, go visit Brownells, use code TRIGGERED. Thank you so much to Dalton for letting me talk about that. And then, yeah, if you guys ever need anything, if you guys want to talk or anything like that, please, by all means, comment section down below. You can always DM me on Instagram. I'm totally down for that. I have a Facebook, but every weird, I get random pictures of people's stuff that I'm like, this is terrible. And then people want to show me their god-awful guns. Like, don't do that. Please. I don't want to see your poor people stuff. That was a joke. If nobody got that. Usually they don't. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy this. Thank you guys so much for everything. I can't say what I used to say. Have fun. Slow on the take-up.